What's up, guys? Today is it's a special day to be here. And we are talking to Scott Rosenzweig. He is the CEO of Make-A-Wish Southern Nevada. And we've been grateful to have this relationship over the last 6 years. And this one's really, it touches my heart just to see his story, his journey, and just the Make-A-Wish journey of all these kiddos and filming them. Like, it's emotional. So Scott, tell the viewer out there about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, well, thank you first and foremost for having me. I love you guys. You know that.
Yeah, we love you too.
Yeah, I am now the president and CEO of Make-A-Wish Southern Nevada. October will be 3 years that I've been the CEO, but I've been there for about 6.5 years. Started out over the Wish team, took over the development, which is the fundraising side of the business, and then eventually 3 years ago became the CEO. So, I'm thrilled. It's in a great organization, of course. So many people know the name, but they don't really know what we do. And I'm so grateful when we have community partners like yourselves who take on the journey with us, so you know exactly what we do, and then you help us get that word out to the people.
Absolutely. This has absolutely been the greatest organization we have worked for, not only because it's worldwide, but these kids and your organization have changed our lives, Brandon and I, and Renee, my wife. And that's how it basically started 6 years ago. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, very well. So we were at a volunteer event at the Wishing Place, is what we call our offices. And Renee said to me, "Oh, I have a son who's moving back to the state, and he makes videos." And I'm nothing if not opportunistic, and a little and lots of hope, because that's what we deal in. It is hope at Make-A-Wish. And so I said, "Well, we've got a Walk for Wishes coming up in a week or so, or whenever it was." I said, "Have your son do a video, and I'd love to see it. I'd love to see what he does with it." And you just never know what you're going to get. When you do that. I mean, everybody thinks they've got an iPhone and they're a videographer, right? So I was like, "All right, Renee, let's see what this ends up being." But the work was incredible, right, from minute one. And I was like, "All right, I'm all in." Like I said to our marketing team, I'm like, "I don't care what you got to do. Talk to Brandon. Let's get him on a retainer. Let's do whatever we got to do. This guy knows how to shoot video and tell our stories." So it was really, I always say there are no accidents. And this certainly was no accident, and has proved to be a great relationship.
Oh, and it's been incredible. And the funny story about that, I just filmed that on an iPhone. No quality camera equipment, and just moved back to Vegas. And I was like, you know what, this video, this is something I want to do. I was getting involved in the church. Everybody was like, make videos. And my mom's like, "Oh, here's an opportunity." So I went down, filmed it on my iPhone, edited it on like Adobe. And it was just like, it turned out so good. And it was kind of like my experience about what the Walk for Wishes was all about. In that event, when my first time ever, I was just shocked about the people that showed up, the people that were there for these kids, and just everybody was smiling. Everybody was out there cheerful. And like, it was a magical event. And that was one of my first events I've ever captured on film. Yeah. And it was just incredible.
That was our first introduction of Make-A-Wish.
Yeah.
And I know
it's a good one.
One of the things you always talk about is we used to think it was for terminally ill kids. Mm-hmm. Can you share now the vision and the direction? It still happens.
Yeah.
But the hope that your organization is now giving people, giving the kids, giving the families, and touching lives around the world.
Yeah, so as of last summer, the number is 86% of our kids go on to lead extraordinary lives. 86%, which is an incredible thing. So we were founded in 1980 in Arizona based on one child, Chris Gracious. He's the inspiration. His mom, Linda Pauling, still talks and walks with us on the daily, comes to our conferences and stuff like that. And all he really wanted, all she wanted, was to have a police car drive by his house, because he loved police officers. He loved police cars. And she's like, she's a single parent, going to night school. She's talking to her friends. "Hey, does anybody know somebody who can just drive a police car by our house," right? Mm-hmm. And of course, as we know now, the Wish effect, it snowballed. So he rode in a police car, he rode in a police motorcycle, rode in a police helicopter. They brought him into the Phoenix Metro Police Station, stood him up on a desk in a custom Phoenix police officer uniform, and they swore him in, And so unfortunately, 4 days later, he passed, and he was buried in the Midwest. But because he'd been sworn in as a Phoenix police officer, they sent 2 of their officers to give him the same burial they would give any of their fallen officers. He was buried in his uniform. And when they came back from that experience, they said, if there's a Chris out there, there's got to be other kids who need this.
Hmm.
So that's why it was terminal to begin with, because Chris's condition, leukemia, was terminal. But very rapidly, chapters started springing up all over the U.S. We now have 57 chapters that serve the U.S. We're represented in 50 countries internationally. And it's no longer a dying wish, because what we realized was, as I say, doctors write the prescription for medication. Make-A-Wish writes the prescription for hope.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful that actual medical studies have been done now that when a child receives a wish, they stick to their treatment better, they get healthier faster, they stay healthier longer, they require less medication, less insurance, so everybody wins. So that's what Make-A-Wish is,
Yeah.
you know, and I think what so many people get wrapped up in is that a life-threatening illness can always turn bad, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
There's just no way to know. But 86% of our kids right now go on to lead extraordinary lives, and they talk about their wish as a turning point for them. So Daniel, who got his wish granted by us at our chapter in the 1990s, he's now married with 2 kids of his own, the director of retail at Resorts World. And he always says to me, I still remember that Disney World trip. And in fact, for the 40th anniversary with Disney World, they invited Daniel to bring his family. And he said, so to bring my kids and feel like I was a kid again from when I went on my wish, those are the moments that we all live for, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And like being personally, like hearing stories like that and actually filming these kiddos' wishes, like each time I go out and I film a wish, I'm like so happy because I know how this wish is going to impact them, their parents, the community, their friends, their family. I've seen it time and time again. And I don't think I've seen bigger smiles on these kids' faces every time I pick up a camera and they're just smiling ear to ear. They're shocked, and just to see their friends, their families, and just even the whole Make-A-Wish organization of Southern Nevada, everybody's smiling, everybody's cheering. Yeah. And it just brings,
it's real.
Oh, it's real. And it brings everything to these kids, and they are just in heaven when it comes down to that. And it just, it's so special.
Well, and what I love is that our team says to these kids, in not so many words, you know, give us your expectation for the wish, and then they work so hard to blow it out of the water every single time. You know, and that's the power of the team. That's the power of community-minded businesses here in Southern Nevada who understand that it's not only important for the wish kid, but for their own team members to understand that you're working for a company that understands that children with critical illnesses need more than medicine. They need hope.
I think one of the things that really just blew our minds is the first 3 or 4 times we did a wish reveal. We filmed it. The extent of work, the extent of organizations, the companies that volunteer, creating it. What was that ramp for the skateboarder?
Yeah, the half pipe. The half
Yeah.
pipe in Kai's backyard.
Yeah, it was
But the
Kai's.
details that go into each wish blew our minds. I mean, and we get to talk to the parents when we're interviewing, and sometimes you're interviewing, and it just is, they are just like, how was your wish? They can't even describe it. It was so far exceeding what their expectations
And I think
were.
so many times, you know, people think all we do are travel wishes. And it's true. We do a lot of travel wishes.
Yep.
And the point of fact is that a lot of these families have really been through it, right? In fact, I would say almost every family's been through it, if we're using that terminology. So many kids wish for a family vacation so that they can just get away, can just stop thinking about themselves as being in treatment. And the story that I always tell about that is one of our wish kids who went to Hawaii, and you get to choose certain things that you can do in Hawaii, you know. And one of the things was a boat excursion for a day. And after their wish, you know, my team, which you know, it's all about my team. It's not about me. It's my team and the volunteers and the community mind businesses that help us. But, you know, my team always calls them afterwards. Since we're Vegas, I don't call them wish coordinators. I call them VIP hosts because that's what they are for these wish families. But they called the mom, check in to see how did it go? You know, how was the trip? Tell us what your favorite part was. And she said, Mom said, you know, my son turned to me when we were on the boat excursion that day. And he said to me, Mom, today's the first day I feel like a regular kid, like I never had cancer.
Man.
So when you can instill that in a child and give that gift to his parents and his siblings, what other business would you want to be in?
I mean,
Sorry, I'm an emotional mess. I always
Hey,
get
whoever's
emotional about
watching
kids.
this
Happy tears.
This is normal.
Happy tears.
Quite a bit.
I love my kids. I love the
You do.
families. You know, I don't have kids of my own, so
Yeah.
a 7-month-old puppy is as close as I get. So these are my kids.
oh yeah. And Scott, like, tell a little bit about just like, I would love to hear kind of like the backstory of how you got involved with Make-A-Wish and like this passion, because like
6.5 years ago.
your
Yeah.
passion is like unlike I've ever seen. And like being a leader, being, you know, the man of the organization, people stand behind you because you have that heart, that
Yeah.
soul for you, you know, believe Make-A-Wish. And where did that come from? You know?
So, you know, I always say if you look at my resume, nothing on there would tell you that I should be the CEO of Make-A-Wish Southern Nevada. Shh, don't tell my board of directors. But everything along the way in my path has brought me to where I am and fuels that passion. First and foremost, you know, my parents always instilled in me that if you're going to do a job, do it to the best of your ability.
Right.
Yep.
And if you can't find passion in it, then find something that you're going to be passionate about and do that. You know, so that's what my parents always taught me. And I started out in theater, and you know, I performed. Then I was directing and choreographing for places like Virginia Opera and Disneyland. And when my now husband, we've been together, it'll be end of this year, 36 years. When we moved to Vegas in 1999, my first gig here was show directing the grand opening of Madame Tussauds, the Wax Museum,
No way.
with Siegfried and Roy and Don King. Of course, they're all dead now, so I don't know what that says about me. But so that was my first gig, and one of the producers on that that experience said to me, "Hey, you know what? I'm about to go into corporate America to GameWorks, which is what was a video arcade restaurant and bar
Right.
created by Steven Spielberg, Universal, and Sega. They brought me on as the national director of entertainment. I was with them for 8 years, ended up being the director of training and development for 1,500 employees in 17 U.S. venues, had opened 4 venues, did everything from planning the lighting in the Cosmic Bowling to training cooks how to cook, which I don't do. I only wash dishes in that room called the kitchen. I don't know anything about that. And so I got tired of traveling to the 17 U.S. venues, and I said, you know what? I live in Vegas. Maybe I should go and work for a casino company.
Yeah.
A friend of a friend said to me, hey, dynamic CEO, he's, you know, does consulting for Indian gaming casinos.
Right.
You should start working for him. And I said, okay, great. So I joined as his sort of chief of staff, and, you know, eventually he was going to get the tribes to fund a casino on the Strip. He's like, you'll be the VP of entertainment. It was a beautiful dream, which has now been realized by San Manuel Band of Indians with the Palms, you know, and also Hard Rock is taken care of as well by a tribal owner. But so I was delighted, right?
Yeah.
I like to call that my devil wears Gucci phase, because we went from 20 employees when I got there. We're building to 200 in the first 2 years. And in 2 years later, there were 3 of us in the building, and I was basically answering the phone in accents for the bill collectors, right? So I was out of work for the first time in my life in my 40s, which was frightening.
Wow.
I knew how to do gaming licensing, which every executive needs to be licensed in every jurisdiction where they are. So it was Thanksgiving week of 2011. I went to Robert Half. They gave me a job at Caesars to do gaming licenses, and literally was in a filing cabinet closet where they took out 2 filing cabinets and put a desk in. And so I met the vice president of compliance there. She had been going through a lot of assistance. She was known for that. And I said, here's the deal. I will come work for you as your assistant for 1 year. You'll introduce me to everybody you know in this building, and then I'm going to take a job someplace else. So almost a year to the day. She said, I'd rather have a year of you than not. And so it was a beautiful thing. One of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my life, great attorney, Sue Carletta. And within almost a year to the day, I went over to Caesars Interactive, which was online real money gaming with WorldSeriesOfPoker.com and Caesars and HarrisCasino.com.
Yep.
So I started out doing marketing for them, but then ended up doing customer support, day-to-day operations, risk and fraud, responsible gaming, you name it. I didn't know any of that. I had to submerge myself for 2 years, which is what you do in a character in theater.
Mhm.
It's what you do in corporate America, right? When you're opening a new venue, you got to submerge yourself into all of that. So we launched in New Jersey and Nevada, and I could see the handwriting on the wall that my job and my time was coming to an end. And I kept saying to my husband at the time, I want to do something that matters at the end of my day. And around that time, after a year and a half of being misdiagnosed with anemia, they suddenly come to us and say, your husband has renal failure and needs a kidney. He needs to be on dialysis this week. Well, to a healthy guy who's always worked out and everything else, shocking blow. They believe it was undiagnosed high blood pressure, so I always tell everybody, get yours checked. But it was a devastating diagnosis. And so we began the process, and he went on peritoneal dialysis, which you do in your own home. So it was sterilizing our room every night and putting him on a machine that started at 4.5 hours a night, ended up being 12.5 hours a day in 2 years. And he was still performing and traveling with a machine. He didn't want anyone to know he was ill. And finally, so around that time, I got the interview for Make-A-Wish to be the director of mission delivery, which was Wish side of things. February of 2018, I joined them. And October 2018, Michael got his kidney. Touch wood is good now. But as I say, there are no accidents, right? And Dr. Beth Creel, an incredible doctor who works for Children's Heart, and she does lunch and learns for us for compassion fatigue. She came in and about 2 weeks after I'd started it, and she did this session, and she said, a lot of people get into the nonprofit space because there's something in their personal life they can't fix, but they can fix a societal problem. And I had to walk out of the room. She followed me. She said, what's going on? And I said, my husband needs a kidney. I'm not a match. I can't be his donor. I can get kids' wishes. So I increased the wish granting goal 10% my first year, 30% my second year. Michael got his kidney in October. But that's where my passion is. If you don't think I've fought with doctors, insurance companies to be in the room sometimes as a same-sex couple, you're mistaken. So what do our parents do? They fight with insurance companies, doctors. So when I can walk into a discovery room when a child's discovering their wish, and the parents say to me, we're waiting for a kidney transplant. And I say, peritoneal or hemodialysis, what are you on? And I see them get calm. Because we see each other on a level that you don't normally have when you meet a stranger. So just like I fought for my husband's care, I will fight for every child that comes through our system, because they're not just a number to me. They're a unique journey, but I know the struggles and what they're going through. And I always tell my staff, if a parent yells at you, they're mad at a doctor, an insurance company, something else. They're just taking it out on you. So just tell them, let's talk when it's a better time for you and tomorrow, But what we're in the business of doing, and what we've done consistently since I've been there, and every Make-A-Wish chapter strives to do, is to give a child with a critical illness a voice and a choice. Doctors are telling them what to do. Parents are telling them what to do. Teachers are telling them what to do. But a wish is a child's alone. So our volunteers and staff spend so much time getting that child comfortable with them so that we can help that child rediscover their voice. And then they make the choice of the wish. So long-winded. Sorry, that's my story.
One of the things I want to say is that, we've known you for a little over 6 years. We saw you, and I'm not going to say at the bottom.
I will. That's great.
There have been some incredible leaders. But we used to talk and say, like 5 years ago, I'd see Scott, because you wanted to be up there, maybe even didn't know it yet, but we could see your thought process, your people skills every year improve. And your heart was always the same. But we knew someday you were going to reach this level. We didn't know you were going to be the man.
Well, it's very kind of you.
That's the truth. We saw that years ago.
I look at life this way. We could always do more.
Right.
It doesn't mean we don't celebrate our successes. It doesn't mean, but we're never going to rest on our laurels. I don't do that in my personal life, and I'm sure as hell not going to do it
There's
for
always
Make-A-Wish.
another kiddo out there.
Exactly.
That needs your 100%.
Always another
what
wish.
you give, and you give 120. If you need to give 150, you do it.
But
just
that's
the
what
way it
fuels
is.
me, you know?
Yeah.
Like it fuels you guys when you come out
Exactly.
and you do, like you
Yep.
talked about even being at Walk for Wishes, right?
Yeah.
It's our love letter to the community. 1,500 people come out. Do they come out for a 5K fun run or walk? Hell no.
No.
They come out because we have more Wish Kids at one event where they can
Mhm.
all celebrate the Wish Kids, community partners who've donated and helped us grant wishes. They can finally meet the kids and talk
Yes.
to them and we just have a great time. You know, it's our love letter to the community.
Well, it's not only just your guys, it's the entertainers you get out, the radio hosts.
It's the whole community of Las Vegas.
Jerry Metellus.
Yeah. Made an amazing relationship with Jerry. We were literally just doing a video commercial, editing this beforehand. But just to see like how it's changed his life, like when we just go on corporate shoots and Jerry's there, we go, "Do you remember that wish?" And he got to photograph different Wish kiddos and like just make it. We had a commercial shoot, and it was just so incredible.
Down there.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Well,
the
you
girl
went
that
back?
wanted to be a model.
Yeah, he does
Yeah.
models.
Oh,
for
it's not
yeah,
just
model
Jerry,
wishes.
it
Yeah,
was-
we had Andres. He was a model.
Andres.
That Jerry
Uh-huh.
filmed. But you know, Jerry Metellus. Come
Oh
on.
my gosh.
Like, how could you do any
Right.
better than Jerry Metellus? You can't.
You can't.
Let me answer that question for
No.
you. You know what I mean? But the way he draws people out of their shell, and you know, that's why when I needed headshots when I became CEO, I was
Yeah.
like, Jerry, you're the only person I know. You know,
Right.
that I'm going to let do this. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
he's amazing.
Oh, he is. And Scott, just to talk about just like the growth and just seeing at the Wishing Place, like what I've started when we were there 6 years ago, what has transformed is each wish and each kiddo is on the wall now. Like
Yes.
Oh.
you have, and you could go to a QR code, you could watch their videos. And like, I think that's so powerful. Just being able to go in and scan each kiddo's wish. Like that's powerful. Who thought about that?
Well, you know,
You know?
it's me. I think it's important that you can talk until you're blue in the face.
Yeah.
Until you experience a wish, you really don't know
Mhm.
what gets done and how that family feels about it.
Yeah.
And I'd much rather have the families tell us in their own words what their impact was than us.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people talk about how do you fundraise, and I don't ask people for money. I tell them stories.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Yep.
an old guy who tells stories, and then they say to me, "How can I help?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's figure it out. What are
Mhm.
you passionate about? Because it's always a two-way
Mhm.
street.
It is.
You know, I've had donors come to me who say, you know what? I lost a child from cancer. It impacted their entire family. So it's important to match them with a child when they want to do adopt a wish or fund a wish, in a certain way. Then I find them somebody that I feel would be the most appropriate for them, and that aligns with what their passions are, So it's always got to be a two-way street with me.
Right.
Couple of things. I remember one of your donors. He said he got involved. Remember, it was on the strip in one of those luxury cars.
Oh, it was
Oh,
John.
John Wolf.
Yep.
John.
John Wolf.
And then you look at what I really want you to talk about, which touched Brandon and I and just about everybody in the room, was Maddie's your presentation to the folks, to the parents.
With her library.
Well,
For
you know,
people that-
yeah.
most people know, but this
Yeah.
this was a tearjerker. Get
Yeah.
ready.
Get ready. Well, it's a funny thing, right? Thanks to John Wolf, who you talked about.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's no accidents, right? John Wolf was a board member for Make-A-Wish Southern Nevada. He saw that Allegiant Airlines was building a campus. He knew they were a national partner. He approached them with the former CEO and said, hey, can we have one of your buildings? They gave us 7,000 square feet for $1 a year. Carolyn Goodman came when we opened in 2017, gave us a $100 bill and said, you're good.
There.
So John's the one who made the Wishing Place happen.
Wow.
And so Maddie's wish, I knew Maddie's mom because she was a trainer. She was in charge of training for Allegiant. So we would see her all the time
Dynamic.
because Allegiant employees always come into our building. I do an orientation for new pilots because they're going to fly our kids. They've flown over 2,000 kids for us. So they're going to see our kids. Why not know what the mission is about? So again, two-way street, never just our handout. How do we help you? So I knew Amanda really well. And then what happened was she gets a call one day as she's coming into the Wishing Place. And it's one of our volunteers to say, your daughter Maddie is qualified for a wish. And she said, she did. I'm standing in the Wishing Place right now. It was Valjean, one of our volunteers, longtime volunteers. So it was right at the start of COVID, but Maddie's sibling was going off to college. So she was going to get her own room for the first time. So Maddie's wish was, could I have my own room? Do a room makeover. So, and Maddie's condition was really interesting. It was respiratory but it had heart condition with it as well. But at the time, we did the room makeover. Jimmy, one of our longtime volunteers and an interior designer in his own right, volunteers his time to do that. So she got her room makeover. So great. Always see Amanda. Her husband, Brandon, does a lot of the IT stuff around our offices as well for his company. So we see each other. We know each other. Unfortunately, Maddie got COVID and 3 times, which I didn't know until I started talking to Amanda and Brandon. But the 3rd time, it really impacted her. And what I didn't know, and of course, this is why it touches home for me. This is where my passion is. She had a double lung transplant, got COVID, got air vac'd out to the hospital in Northern California, and the COVID medication doesn't play well with the anti-rejection medications. So you have to make a choice. Are you going to treat the COVID? Wow. Or are you going to keep those lungs alive? I can't even imagine. So unfortunately, what ended up happening was Maddie lost her battle. She went into full rejection of both lungs that she'd had for 2 years. And man, I mean, the color had come back in her face. She was running around the wishing place. Maddie was back to her old self. And unfortunately, she passed. So I said, I kind of took a tip from you guys. I said, we should maybe start doing some podcasts and talking to some of these families. So I brought Amanda and Brandon in and I said, just let's talk about your story. We didn't know it was going to go on for 14 hours and become a mini series. It's the new Roots. We needed the professionals to be cutting us off, right? But it ended
people want to hear it.
It ended up being a 4-part series. Yeah. But at the end of it, which something that I never knew about Maddie was that Brandon, Maddie's dad, they had always talked about Maddie wanting to own a library or, work in a library. And definitely they both wanted to haunt libraries after their death. So I think you guys know me well enough to know now that things come out of my mouth checks that I have to cash later. But I just thought of it and I thought, well, what if we put a library in the wishing place and called it Maddie's Library? And so that's what we did. And thank you guys for covering it. But, we installed Maddie's Library and remarkably, Amanda and Brandon asked if we could do it on the day a year from the passing of Maddie. So that was the day that we did it with their friends and family, and our family, the Make-A-Wish family. And so now we have Maddie's Library in the wishing place, in the discovery room, so that kids can take books and find inspiration in the books that Maddie loved and take a little piece of Maddie home with them. But I couldn't think of a better place for Maddie's Library.
Incredible story. But what touched us the most was the mom and dad. The mom can talk. The dad is shy, but what he said literally
I think what touched me too is seeing it was 4 years when I was editing that video I was going back in time that nobody saw we had the video and I'm like, what happened, how the community showed up for their parents, and I'm looking at this video 4 years and Maddie's there, she's talking and I'm almost bawling because I'm she's right there.
She was alive at that moment.
Yeah, and then to see the whole process of just it's tragic what happened, but just to see, and that's why when you have a village, what you always say, people are here for the parents, people are here for the kiddos, and no matter what, they were shocked at how many people showed up.
Yeah, and the good news is that in an odd way, it was during COVID, so we did her discovery visits. Jimmy helped design it through video. So we were able to save those videos, to have those, not knowing how we would ever use them. I just said, just hit record when you're doing the Zoom call with her so that we can just have a path. And also for other wish experts who want to help us out, that maybe they could watch this video and see how you interact with the wish kid when you're talking about a room makeover or something like that. So it was really from a business technical standpoint. It really wasn't from an emotional side at all. But then when you guys came out and shot Amanda and Brandon, I was like, oh my God, get them all the footage, get them everything, because we had a lot.
So true, Scott. So I want to say, how has, having these videos of each Wish kid, these stories impacted, parents or people that want to get involved, that they could actually see these kiddos' wishes.
It impacts them in so many ways, because I think in the current climate that we have in our country, where there's so much divisive and so much, I'm going to call it out for what it is, some hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all jump to hate a little quick.
Yes.
What if we jump to hope? And again, I don't think reading a story on a piece of paper, no offense to authors, books are fabulous. I love them. Come to Maddie's library. But a video really tells the tale, right?
Yes.
It captures the nuance of a raised eyebrow, or we just did Samantha's wish at Caesar's this week with you guys, and she wanted to be a princess. So, what better place than at Caesar's Palace? And it's so funny because it's my former employer, but totally different people. But they had all their employees dressed like her royal subjects and whatnot. And so, but without a video, how do you capture Samantha's face when I said to her, so you want to be a princess? Who's your favorite princess? I think it's Princess Peach. That was the first time that kid smiled at me the whole day, right?
Yeah.
Because I did my homework. But
Yeah.
I could tell you that story. I could tell you it was the first time she smiled. But the video and the way that you edit and tell our stories does so much more. And it allows our parents to stop a place and time where they're not behind their phone doing it themselves. They can actually we tell them, Heartfelt's coming. You're going to just enjoy the wish reveal experience and the wish, and we're going to supply the video for you.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's one of the things, that's what we do, and we're truly about, is we get to actually make the day come back to life.
Yeah.
Their wish come back to life. It's not their story come back to life. And I think that's the most rewarding thing when I'm editing, when we're filming. They get to watch that video 10, 15, 20 years. They could show their kids, when they grow up as, and it's just, that's the power of video. You can relive that moment. You could hear those sounds. You can be in that place. And
well, and like you talk about at the wishing place, Annie's on the wall. She's a kidney transplant patient, believe it or not. Again, no accidents. And she dreamt her wish. Yeah. She was having so much trouble figuring out what she wanted for her wish. So many of our kids have problems figuring out what they want for their wish. Sometimes they have tremendous guilt for being the sick kid in the family, taking time away from other family members and siblings and whatnot. So it's really hard for them when you say anything in the anything kingdom, right?
Yeah.
So Annie's mom called us one day and said, "Oh, Annie dreamt her wish last night." We were like, "Okay, we're in. What is it?" And she said she wants to kiss a pig. She wants to live on a farm. There was all these requirements. And that's what people don't understand, how specific our kids get about their wishes. Yeah. And so we were doing a wish reveal at the wishing place. I just found out about that from one of our team members. And this woman walked up to me and she said, "Hey, how do I get involved in Make-A-Wish?" And I said, "I don't know. You know anybody who could make a kid a farmer?" She's like, "Oh, I grew up on a farm in Elko, Nevada. My family still owns it. It's a dairy farm." She made 2 calls. Annie's wish was taken care of.
So it started like that.
So don't be afraid to share your story. And now you come to the wishing place. You see her on our Journey of a Wish wall. You scan that QR code, and you watch Annie running around, kissing her pigs, milking cows, meeting the mayor. And it's an incredible story.
Holding a lamb.
Right. Exactly.
Or a pig.
Right.
It was so much fun going up there. I mean, just to see, she had
one of our favorites.
She was the celebrity. I've never seen. The whole town showed up. She's just, here's the cows, here's the pig, and she's just having a great time. It's because she got to go throughout the whole and it was just, it was
she
special.
lived the passion. I mean, she held that little pig like it was riding a horse.
Oh yeah. It was just, but that's the power of a wish, everybody showing up.
Right. Mentioning that, one thing I'd like you to talk about is how these kids are so resilient that they actually minister to all of us and care about how we feel more than they're worried about their own, what they're going through.
Have a 6-year-old tell you about how they have to clean out their own port. That'll bring you up by the short ones. Because what I will tell you is that the childhood is put on pause. I don't know if it's stolen from them. I hope it's not, depending upon how long they're in treatment and whatnot. But it definitely gets paused. And you don't have a child in front of you anymore. you have a child who is what we call in my family an AAD, almost a doctor,
Yeah.
because they have to know so much about their medical condition, because there are times they're at school where mom and dad aren't there
Yep.
to fight the battles for them, or say,
Right.
no, they've got an allergic reaction to this, they can't have this, or they can have
Yeah.
this, but they can't have that. So to see these young adults at 5 years old, it's awe-inspiring. And the resilience is
Oh,
when you see an Annie who, when she first came in to get her wish, she hadn't gotten her kidney transplant when she first came and started discovering her wish. You know, people always say to me, how long does it take to grant a wish? And I said, we grant the wish when the child needs the hope most. And we
Mhm.
depend upon doctors, family members, parents,
Yeah.
siblings to tell us, no, we need hope now.
Hmm.
So you don't rush a wish. You do it when
No.
the child needs that hope, right? So she really was in no condition. She was kind of listless. And like I said, it took 3 or 4 visits. God bless our volunteers trying to pull that wish out of her, like I don't know what. And then finally we got the call from mom that she dreamt her wish. And then, okay, we got our marching orders. She needs that
Right.
hope now. And so that's when you go. And you see her running around and you think to yourself, that's resilience. You know,
Yeah.
that's the resilience that I hope I could have someday.
yeah.
Hope I could have their grace.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I could have their understanding.
Yeah.
You know, and when my husband Michael was going through his journey, we always said, what if you were a kid going through this?
Yeah.
And that was before I was at Make-A-Wish.
Yeah.
We used to say, what if you were a kid who didn't understand?
Man.
But what I found out is they do understand because they have to.
Yeah.
Wow. Man. I mean, yeah.
It's
because you can't like
sometimes there's
that
no
just-
words to say because
because you don't.
Make-A-Wish has changed our lives, impact our lives. Where it used to be, it's fun to create. It has nothing to do with the videos anymore. It's learning about these lives of these children, what they're going through. We're lucky, like with the one we just did, we're on the link. You didn't get to see the mom and dad. Just Brandon said, "Oh, let's get a picture of this," and she literally comes up and hugs both of us.
Oh, yeah.
Because I asked, how's your wish been? She just teared up and hugged.
You know, they had
don't
no,
get to
they,
see
yeah,
that.
they had no idea what they were
They gave us some
They-
popcorn.
they-
God bless.
Oh,
They
yeah.
trust us a lot.
Yes,
I will say
yes.
parents trust us a lot, which I'm very grateful for.
Yep, and they trust the vision and the team
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
share the love.
And then the day you had Brandon with Chris Angel on stage taking videos. We're
Let's talk
the
about-
blessed ones,
Yeah.
Scott.
You know, Scott-
we get to be involved.
Just I don't think a lot of people like how has Chris Angel involvement with Make-A-Wish? He is just one of the best of what he does here in Las Vegas as a magician. Can you tell us about his involvement? Because people out here probably don't know that side of him.
Yeah. So, I didn't know that side of Chris. I'll be honest, right?
Yeah.
I got there in 2018, 2019. The CEO at the time, Caroline Sioka, amazing woman, said to me, we're granting a wish for Chris Angel's son. And I said, okay,
Yeah.
what is it? Like,
Yeah.
what is it? She had to convince Chris to take the wish, which is so interesting to me.
Right.
He's granted over 49 wishes for kids across the U.S. who want to meet him. He's hired trucks, EMTs, anything he needed to
Yeah.
get the child to his show and have the proper medical care so that they have an incredible experience. And yet, when it came to his own son, he really didn't want to accept a wish. And so Caroline did a lot of talking with him. And so what Johnny Christopher decided that he wanted was
Yeah.
to meet Ryan from Ryan Toys Review, who's, if you don't know him, like I always tell my parents, you did something wrong. Because at 8 years old, he's making $17 million on YouTube opening up toys.
Well
now
done.
now he has his own Nickelodeon show. The parents are in,
Yeah.
his sister's in. But he had never granted a wish in all of Make-A-Wish chapters, and he was really hot at the time. So we went to the national team, our celebrity team, and they got in touch with him. And so it happened, And I just remember it was a no more chemo party that Chris and Chenille, his mom, had thrown for him at their home. And they did the whole cul-de-sac with a
Mhm.
huge snow ramp that you could snowboard down. I mean, it was pretty incredible, full scale,
Yeah.
a carousel and stuff. And when Johnny Christopher saw Ryan from Ryan Toys Review, he just linked his arm in his, and that's how they went through the whole day. So it was an incredible experience, right? So fast forward to me becoming CEO. Now, I hadn't really talked to Chris at all. And Johnny Christopher, unfortunately, fell out of remission, went back through treatment. He's still on medication today, but he is cancer-free,
Right.
touch wood.
Nope.
And you watch Chris's video that he created on Johnny Christopher Children's Foundation website about their journey through the cancer journey.
Yeah.
But so the national office called me and said, "Hey, we see that Johnny is cancer free. We want to do some social media posts? Will you get in touch with Chris?" Well, it was always this convoluted thing where you go to a volunteer who knew Chris, his assistant.
Right.
Chris's assistant would go to Chris, and so I just took a chance and I texted the assistant because I had the phone number in our system, and I said, "Hey, here's what's going on. I need to get permission for if Chris is okay with this." And he said, "You know what? Here's Chris's phone number. Text him, and if he can talk to you, he'll probably call you."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Yeah, that's gonna happen."
Yeah.
Right.
Texted Chris. 5 minutes later, my phone rings, and 45 minutes I'm on the phone with Chris.
Wow.
Wow.
I got such an education. That's what I did my whole first year as CEO. I went on my listening tour to donors, wish families, people who had been involved in Make-A-Wish, to just hear the good, bad, the ugly, right? And Chris really told me what Make-A-Wish meant and really helped educate me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after that call, I kept saying to Chris, let's do more together, right? You're too important to us and what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Chris has absolutely come out to Walk for Wishes, with the family, always with the family. And but what you may not know about Chris is that he's one of the most genuine people in the world, and he just doesn't want to see kids in pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just about cancer, because that's the journey that Johnny Christopher went through.
Mm-hmm.
So, he was treated at Cure for the Kids, which is our number one referral source. Annette, who is the founder of that organization and wrote it out on a napkin 18 years ago when her own son was going through a journey. And she's a nurse, so she created Cure for the Kids, which is the number one children's facility here for cancer treatment and rare blood disease. Johnny Christopher went there for his treatment. And then got his wish through us. So the three of us have become fast friends now, right? Because Chris understands, like I say, the prescription for medication, Cure for the Kids.
Mhm.
Prescription for hope, Make-A-Wish Southern Nevada.
Wow.
But what I will also say is that Chris has become a trusted mentor for me. And so last year we had a kiddo who's 18 years old.
Yeah.
Who wanted Donovan, who wanted a tattoo. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I know he's 18, but we're putting permanent ink on a kid.
Yeah.
So I call Chris and I'm like, help a brother out, Chris. Like,
Right.
I am like freaking out. He's like, I got a couple tattoos. I said, yeah, what do you think I'm calling you?
Right.
And he said, yeah.
Come on, freak.
Right? He said, let me give you the number to my guy who does tattoos. So his tattoo artist who's done all of his tattoos, who works out of Mandalay Bay, did Donovan's tattoo completely free of charge for us, thanks to Chris and his help. Donovan had a tree of life done on his
Man.
forearm, and the roots represented his family who had stood by him during his cancer journey, and the tree was in bloom because that's how he sees his life post-cancer.
Wow.
Right?
That's meaningful.
So Chris is the guy I have on speed dial.
Yeah.
Probably more than he would like. But he always picks up the phone.
Right.
He's always all in.
Yeah.
He doesn't know not to go all in when it comes to kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's not to love about a guy like that?
Oh yeah.
I don't think anyone at Make-A-Wish doesn't know how to go all in. Literally.
Well, they better know how to.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
right?
I don't think
I
they'll be
mean-
at Make-A-Wish long.
Yeah. I mean,
And that's the thing. Like when we got to interview Chris Angel up there, I saw a different guy than what he is on stage. I was
Persona.
like, whoa, this guy has one of the biggest hearts. Like, and we were just talking. I'm like, wow, like a lot of people don't see him as that guy.
yeah.
Right.
You
Is
know?
that where
And
you lost your watch?
It's incredible. And then the last thing, Scott, too, I've seen a lot of like amazing changes that you have made. And one of the coolest things that I've saw that it's an addition, it brings in Vegas, is that neon sign,
Oh, gosh.
that you added to the wishing place. Can you talk about that? Because it brings Las Vegas, it brings Make-A-Wish Southern Nevada,
The star.
the story that is behind that star and how that came about.
Well, we're card-carrying members of the Neon Museum. And if you're not, you should be.
Yeah.
It is our history. In fact, it's moving. But
It is moving.
it's
It
moving.
is.
But Aaron Berger, who is the executive director over there, this is way before Aaron. I used to go walk the Neon Boneyard. Michael and I used to walk it and take all of our friends who were visiting and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And I kept seeing this blue and white star, quite a few of them, and they're just hanging out. And I'm like, this is so perfectly branded. Like,
Right.
I want this, right?
Yeah.
So Aaron becomes executive director. We go to the meet and greet, meet our new executive director. I don't know if I approached him that day, but it was probably 2 days after. And I'm like, what's it going to take to get me one of these stars?
Right.
So the Neon Museum had never loaned out neon before,
Yeah.
only on the Strip or in that, the median on Las Vegas Boulevard where they put some of the older signs as well. And so Aaron and I really developed a friendship and a partnership around it. And he said, we want to get neon out into the community. We just didn't really know how to do it.
Yeah.
So it's on loan from the Neon Museum. It is a blue, white, and a little bit of pink star, neon star. That's sort of our bat signal, as I like to call it, in front of the Wishing Place now. And really, the idea behind it was multiple fold, right? One, I wanted neon. I'm not going to lie.
Right.
My ego's a little involved.
Yeah.
Two, I knew that star was perfect. So
Yeah.
what's it going to take? And anybody who knows me
Oh,
knows me. I'm a junkyard dog with a bone.
Right.
So it wasn't like Aaron was getting off the hook on that one, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So then when he finally said, we're going to do our first loan and we'll make it to you, and then it was very important to me to understand that what the community needs to understand, which is that we are a community here. And I think what you've been referring to a little bit is my phrase, right?
Right.
It takes a village to raise a child,
Correct.
but we know it takes a community to grant a wish.
Amen.
So Neon Museum became part of our community. And the night that we lit that last October, a year ago, coming up on the year anniversary of having that neon star, we also awarded Chris Angel the Beacon of Hope Award because that's truly what he's been to me and to the organization, and gave him a kind of a neonish award that now is at the Planet Hollywood Theater where he performs. He has a whole wall of all the stuff that we've given him through the years. But so one, important to have a neon piece because we're the Southern Nevada chapter.
Yep.
Two, Scott's ego wanted that neon. I'm not gonna lie.
And you got it.
Right, and I got
Yeah.
it. Well, not too much, I don't. But
Yep.
three, I found a community partner in Aaron Berger that I never knew existed before and never knew I needed until I found him. He's doing some incredible things that we're gonna partner on and work with as well. And then finally, it gave me an opportunity to really take our star, who is Chris Angel, and celebrate him that night. So, so it's many roads coming together, and that's where I say my theater background comes in, my corporate background comes in, my training and development background. This is why it may not look it on paper, but that's why I think I'm right for the job.
Oh,
There's no doubt, and I mean you have the power to turn the link pink.
and the
The
stratosphere
sign,
and the
Las
stratosphere blue.
Vegas, yeah, stratosphere
And
blue.
the Las Vegas sign blue. Like
Yeah,
the whole
you have
city.
that power.
It's so funny because when I'm filming, I'm like, get an email. Oh, we're changing the stratosphere blue tonight. The link's going to be blue. The Vegas sign's going to be blue. And it's just like, how cool is that? That's Vegas. That's Make-A-Wish community showing up.
Brandon and I laugh. Yeah, Scott's changing his blue. And I said, for how long? Oh, 5 hours.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, Scott.
Oh,
You have changed. I mean, it's taken every person that's volunteered it takes to build that village. But you've taken it to a different level, especially the last 3 years. That we see. And it's not about pride or ego, it's just the truth. Last thing, can you just talk about your team?
Oh, my team, you can't get any luckier than have a group of people who don't settle. One of our core values at our organization is, take initiative, be persistent, and get it done.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's no mistake about that. That's what this team does day in and day out. Barbara, our COO, has been 10 years as an employee, but 20 years as a volunteer. Quinn, who's our director of mission delivery and operations, came up through the ranks as our mission delivery manager, and now she's a director with so many people reporting to her. But she made the systems that I put in place are like amateur night. Now I have a professional doing it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Sheila Marcello and the work that she's done over the last 6 years with our corporate partners, bringing that up to pace, we
Nope.
wouldn't have had the Caesar's Wish
Yeah.
without Sheila, right?
Yeah.
The things that she's done with Dutch Bros,
Incredible.
Subaru Las Vegas, you name it,
Oh,
she's
yeah.
done
Yeah.
it, right? And then rounding out our senior leadership team, Aida Gilman, who's our director of marketing and communications, who's like
Dynamite.
just incredible, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
She's our contact.
She knows how to tell the story and everything else. But it's not just the leaders in the building.
It's the heart.
It's the volunteers who volunteer their time during the day.
Mhm.
It's our wish coordinators, our specialists, our managers. You know, the one thing that I want to tell everybody is that as long as I'm running Make-A-Wish Southern Nevada, it won't be a nonprofit. It'll be a for impact business.
Love it.
And Guy Martin from Martin Harris is the one who gave me that phrase.
Yeah.
I met with him during my listening tour my first year.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you know, we were talking about something and I said nonprofit. He goes, no, stop. I don't fund nonprofits. I fund for impact. What impact are you making on the community?
It's huge.
That deeply motivated me, right?
Mhm.
And so we are a for impact organization. And as long as I am there, one person is not going to be wearing 14 hats. Wear the hat that's right for you. What are you an expert in?
Yeah.
Where's your passion? What do you want to do for this organization? So, you know, I love it when people want to get into conversations with me about, well, how much do you pay in salaries versus how much do you spend on wishes? Well, if we didn't have experts,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be getting 185 wishes out this year.
Mhm.
They haven't caught the vision yet either.
Exactly.
You know,
Yep.
it
So-
takes a little time till you really see and feel it.
That's the
And
only
when
thing
you
I
do,
would.
Wow.
That's the only thing I'll say. You know, UFC, another great partner for us, and we have some great surprises planned in September with
nice.
UFC.
Oh yeah.
Ah.
But I would say that's what I get in the octagon about.
Yeah.
Start talking to me about my team.
Yep.
You know, I'm not a fighter on the whole,
Yeah.
but I'd suit up for that.
Yeah.
You know, that conversation about, there's people say to me, well, this CEO from like
Yeah.
wherever, he retired from big business and now he takes $1 a year salary. And I'm like, really? Multi-million-dollar budget, and you want somebody who takes $1 a year and doesn't know what they've been doing
Right.
Yeah.
to run that business? No, get the
No.
professionals in
Yep.
because you'll see what we do, which
Yeah.
is the wishes are better. The kids
Mhm.
move faster through our pipeline. We have the connections in our community, like you're saying.
Exactly.
So we never do it alone. And we don't take that for granted because you can't do it without those wish experts
So
like
true.
yourselves.
Oh yeah.
Where do you see
It's just-
yourself in the next 3 to 5 years? Your vision.
So what I sold our team on and the board of directors when I was interviewing for
Yeah.
the role, we're supposed to reach every eligible child, but there's no report from the CDC or the Southern Nevada Health District that tells us how many kids between 2.5 to 18, which is our criteria, are considered critical illnesses, right? That's done by our National Medical Advisory Committee every year. So I said, you know what? We're chasing something that we don't know what we're chasing. So I have a very different view of it, and that's 1 degree of separation. If we could get everybody in our community to be 1 degree of separation, meaning they know it's not a dying wish, they've been to a wish reveal, they know someone who got a wish, then I don't have to rely just on medical facilities trying to go out doctor to doctor to doctor to make sure we're reaching every eligible child. The community is going to bring those children to us.
Amazing.
So when a kid gets sick next door, you may say, hey, have you guys considered Make-A-Wish?
Yeah.
And in the same way, they'll fund what we do because they better understand it because they have that 1 degree of separation. So that's how we're tackling it in the next 3 to 5 years. That's why you'll see, thanks to Channel 3, we have Make-A-Wish Monday every Monday. You'll start
Yep.
seeing me on that a little bit more
Love
this
it.
coming year because it's really important to me that the community understands I'm not just looking for a donation. I want your heart.
Yep.
I want your soul. And I want you to go out there and help us find every eligible child because every child suffering from a critical illness deserves
Yes.
the prescription of hope.
That's powerful. That's
Then they get blessed.
the vision. That
They get
vision's
blessed.
amazing.
We all
That is,
That's
I don't know any other
I-
questions after
yeah.
that.
But here's the last thing, guys. So people out there, how can they get involved with Make-A-Wish America, Make-A-Wish Southern Nevada?
Wish.org/SNV is our website. Wish.org is the national website. What I say is go to our website. There's a
Yeah.
link that says ways to help.
Right?
You can find out. And again, I want people to volunteer in what they love doing.
Yeah.
There are a lot of our volunteers who do incredible work for us, but they just emotionally can't be around sick kids.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean there's not a place for them.
Yep.
So you tell us where your place is, and we'll celebrate it as
Yeah.
you help us grant the wish of every eligible child. So wish.org/SNV is the best way to do it. Come to a volunteer orientation. Come to Walk for Wishes.
Yep.
It's usually the last Saturday in April. It'll be again this year.
Nice.
Come to one of our events like that to better learn what we do, to meet Wish kids and Wish families. There's multiple ways to get involved. And if that doesn't work, my email's on the website and you can call me because
Yeah.
like it made a videographer into a business, right? Like,
Exactly.
So I can't think of a better testimonial than you want to start your own business, probably talk to Scott.
Yeah, I know.
And,
Gives you a chance, and just, it's truly.
He did upgrade his phone, though.
Yeah, so that's important.
Scott, you know what?
and
We love you. We love your organization. We can't say thank you enough for allowing us to grow with you from the bottom to where you are now. You're definitely a friend of ours, and we have to say you started a company, and we appreciate it always.
Like I said, it's just been a blessing to, with having a camera in the head and see the Wish kids. And like I would say, it started at Make-A-Wish.
Yeah.
When somebody handed me a camera the first time, filming on my phone, I was like, my mom was like, you got to go to this.
Mhm.
And Heartfelt Productions was
Yeah.
born at Make-A-Wish, Southern Nevada, Walk for Wishes.
Yeah.
And then this just incredible journey and just filming kids, at the beginning. And it truly just touched our hearts. And we're just incredibly blessed to know you, see you thriving and building the team and changing this
Yeah.
community here in Las Vegas. And it's something special that you're doing and what everybody else is doing.
And
Not
all the
only
friendships
not
we've
only in
made
Nevada,
throughout-
but throughout America. Just
Oh,
seeing
Yeah.
Well, thank
what
you.
wishes
guys.
are being granted.
And again, no accidents. We always talk about granting a child's heartfelt wish. And so
Oh.
it's no accident
Right.
that you're called Heartfelt Productions, and
Yeah.
I was prepared for the, what do you want your legacy to be at Make-A-Wish from you guys today? But honestly, all I want my legacy to be are the videos that you've helped us create,
Right.
the stories you've helped us tell,
Man.
because
Yeah.
that's the legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, it captures a moment in time
Hmm.
that you can never go back to,
Oh yeah.
except for in your heart
Yeah.
and your mind, right?
Yeah.
So if we can leave as many videos as possible on our
Yeah.
trail to getting to probably about 200 wishes a year,
Yep.
then we've done our JOB as I always say to my
Yeah.
team, which they tease me about. But,
Yeah.
Heartfelt is definitely a huge piece of that and what
Yeah.
makes us able to do that. So thank you on behalf of
absolutely.
our organization, our team members, and certainly our Wish families. You guys have changed lives.
And the world, right?
Mhm.
Well,
And the world.
it's just
And world peace.
exactly. We're just blessed, and I think on that, guy,
Mhm.
it's just I'm speechless. I'm
No,
lost
I
for
don't
words,
believe it.
Scott. Whew, it hits home.
When you walk into the to the wish palace, it's like Norm walking into Cheers.
Right.
Heartfelt!
But on that note.